Good day, this is John D. Reid from the Canada's Anglo-Celtic Connections blog with a short video on the new database for the City of Westminster Church of England parish records that just became available on Ancestry's UK site on the 30th of July. City of Westminster is important. It's a high-profile location. The West End. It's 21 and a bit square kilometres and currently has a population of a little over 250,000 people. Where is it? If you don't know where the City of Westminster is, you probably know where Westminster Abbey is, and if you've visited London, you sure have been into the City of Westminster. Westminster is right next to the City of London, the old City of London, the Square Mile, as they call it, and is the home to many prestigious institutions. Buckingham Palace, the Houses of Parliament, the Prime Minister's residence at 10 Downing Street. So it's a centre of government. Then there's Oxford Street, Regent Street, Piccadilly and Bond Street, which are the major shopping areas, and Soho, which is an entertainment centre. And then there are many other locations that you've probably heard of in there: Pimlico, St John's Wood, Milburn, Marylebone, Mayfair. All very familiar terms, and they're all in the City of Westminster. Here's the 4 titles that comprise this record set. The Church of England births and baptisms from 1813 to 1919, with a little under 1 million records. Deaths and burials from 1812 to 1910, a little under 200,000 records. The marriage and banns from 1754 to 1935, with over 1 million records. And then a combined collection of baptisms, marriages and burials, starting in 1558 with the establishment of Church of England registers. And there are over 2.2 million records in that collection. Here we'll have a look at the births and baptisms collection. It's actually baptisms because that's what the church recorded, although they did tend, particularly in later years, to note the birth dates. So as you can see on here, there's a indication at the top right of where they came from, where the records came from, the City of Westminster Archive Centre. Right below that is a browse capability where you can choose the parish and then the year range. And in the centre, the familiar search form with first and last name, birth, in this case for births and baptisms, and information on the members of the family. So, on the browse collection, you can push down on the selection under parish, and you'll find a whole lot of different parishes within the City of Westminster. Probably St Clement Danes is very familiar to you. And then further on down there's the St George's Union Workhouse on Buckingham Palace Road and another one on Fulham Road. So although this is a affluent area of the West End, that doesn't mean there were not people who were impoverished and needed to take advantage of the services of the workhouse. The City of Westminster Archives has a website which includes a number of information sheets. On information sheet number 1 is a list of the Anglican parish registers that are held, and it runs to 7 pages, and for each of the churches or chapels you'll see the whether it's baptisms, confirmations, banns, marriages or burials, the date range for which they hold records, and then sometimes the format in which those are held. So MF is for microform. The Archive Centre has a very good website, westminster.gov.uk/family-history, with not only the information sheet on the Anglican parish registers, but also other things, the Roman Catholic registers, further on down, cemetery registers, wills, the pre-1841 census. So lots of good information on there. And certainly if you have ancestors or people you're researching who were in the city of Westminster, this is a good resource to be checking out. So, to test out the Ancestry search, I looked for the name Saxby, and there were 33 hits for baptisms, and the first one, William Arthur Saxby, a birth date given there, baptismal date, baptized at St. Martin in the Fields, and the parents' names William and Mary. And against that, on the left-hand side, you can view the record, view the transcription in a different format, and on the right-hand side, you can view the image. And the image is always what you want to look at. So here I took the page in which this entry occurs and cut out the top section where you can see what the headings on the columns are, and then there's the particular entry for William Arthur Saxby in the parish of St. Martin in the Fields in Middlesex in the year 1885. And on the left there's the birth date, when baptized, the 17th of May, the name of the parents, the abode, which was not in the transcription, the quality, trade or profession, which basically means the job, and for most of us, and this in this case was a manager, and by whom the ceremony was performed. And it looks like the name is Cheadle there. So that's just one of the records, the births and baptisms. There's also deaths and burials, marriages and banns, and the combined record for the earlier period. If you look at those records, you'll find that they tend to have most records, a maximum in the number of records, in the first part of the 19th century, say 1825. And as you go on, the number of events being registered decreases, so that 100 years later, roughly, you might have just 1/3 of the annual number in that first part of the 19th century. The difference, the one exception, is the deaths and burials register. As you can see, there are a lot fewer total records there than for the marriages and baptisms, and that's because of the Act of Parliament in 1851 that severely restricted burials within within London, metropolitan London. Churchyards were absolutely overflowing. They were a health hazard, and the government decided that no more. That led to the establishment of a lot of other cemeteries, and the big cemetery where a lot of people's bodies were taken to was the London necropolis, known as Brookwood Cemetery, out near Woking. So people would go by train, or the body would go by train to Brookwood, and there was a siding there where the carriage would be unloaded. So that means that for this title, the deaths and burials, the numbers drop off very rapidly after 1852, and there's certainly much less than 10% in the early 1900s of what there were at the maximum time. It would be only fair to mention that Find My Past has had a similar collection of Westminster records since May 2016. They separate it out a little differently. They have a separate category for banns, but there's baptisms, burials and marriages. They also have a browse capability, and they have a couple of other collections too. Marylebone census for 1821 and 1831, one of those exceptional cases where remnants of censuses earlier than 1841 survive. And then there's a Roman Catholic census of 1893 with over 36,000 entries. So that's what's available for this very significant collection of parish records for the city of Westminster. A lot of high-profile people appear in these records, and you will find that they're not available on other sites. I looked in Family Search and other places where they have British records, and these appear to be the only two locations. And a final reminder that until the end of August 2020, the Ancestry Library Edition collection continues to be available at home for library subscribers, certainly for the Ottawa Public Library, and I suspect for other libraries in Ontario and further afield. So you don't have to pay, you don't have to go outside the house if you have a library card. Always a good thing to have. Thank you for watching. Please do come and look at my blog at Canada's Anglo-Celtic Connections, anglo-celtic-connections.blogspot.ca. Have a good day.